Hello, part 5 of the Big Bogey restoration, the Mini Traveller. It's an Austin Countryman. Yeah, I know, but Mini Traveller's a colloquialism, you know? So yeah, today we're going to be focusing on literally just the fuel tank. It's quite an interesting thing, and I think it justifies its own videos. And at the end, we're even going to make it musical, so follow along.
The next thing we're going to install is the fuel tank. This is the fuel tank that came from the car, and I got a good feeling that this is pretty damn rusty. So there is this one, which isn't brand new, but it's in a lot better condition. We're going to use this one in the car, but I figured before we put it in, let's have a look and see how the fuel tank connects up to the fuel gauge on the dashboard. So having a look at the fuel tank in general, it's got a lot of quirks and features. For instance, this is the bit where you pour the fuel in. This goes through the body of the car and you can see it sticking out the side. This sits at the back. Well, you'll see it when it gets bolted up, but you'll see where it sits, where we pulled the original from the car. And it bolts to these screws up here. This is where the fuel comes out and off to the engine. This isn't just a hole into it. In fact, it's quite a complicated thing on the inside as well. We can get a closer look when we remove this little gizmo that is right here. This is called the fuel sender, and we'll have a closer look at that in a second. But in this hole, you can see that not is all what it seems, and I'm gonna try and show you. It might not work. I'm on the phone right now, but we're going in. As you can see on the inside, there, oh, let's get in focus. That yellow looking filtery thing is actually the pickup tube, so that's where the fuel gets sucked out of. As you can see, this is actually in the middle, like this bit right here. You see that ridge there, you see this ridge right there, and that ridge over there. This is actually metal plates that stop the fuel from sloshing around. It's like a miniature version of a fuel tanker. It's very much a similar design, but yeah, this stops the fuel from slishing from left to right. But of course, this thing that I just pulled out is the thing that tells us whether the fuel tank is full or the fuel tank is empty. This thing is sealed and full of air, and it floats on top of the fuel that is in the tank. And as the tank fills up, this floats on the top and pushes the whole lever upwards. This lever is actually very much the same as a volume knob on a hi-fi system. It is indeed a potentiometer, but for fuel. So let's take this plastic thing off, and you can see, you can get a closer look at it. Oh, here we go. So this is the arm. This black bit is a wire wound resistor, and as the lever moves along, it moves further up the resistor, causing an increase in resistance on the output. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on how to wire a coffee machine up to a synthesizer. Well, we looked at the internals of a traditional potentiometer, and it looks very much the same as this. This one sadly doesn't work, so we needed to replace it anyway. So here is a new one made for the mini estate fuel tank. Notice one interesting thing, this is a submerged potentiometer, so fuel is actually swishing around in there. So it's not an isolated compartment for the electronics, it is literally drowning in fuel, which surprised me if I'm honest. How this connects to the fuel gauge is pretty simple. Around the back of this dashboard is a load of cables going off from the various lights and meters that are on the front of the dashboard. British Motor Company had a set colour code for all of the cars, so there's a good chance that all of the colour codes here match the colour codes in something like a Morris Marina or something like that. For instance, this box up here is the voltage regulator. It receives the power from the battery that can always vary. It can vary between, I don't know, 11 volts and 14 volts, depending how much load is on the car battery and the charge it's receiving and stuff. This green is the voltage regulator output. You'll see this wire going all over the place. So the fluctuating voltage that is coming from the car battery goes into here, and this regulates it to a pretty much solid 10 volts that can go over to various things like the meters in the dashboard. The fuel is down here, and as you can see from the back, there is one of the green wires here, and here is another color code to remember, and that is the green and black, which is right here, and this is the wire that connects between the fuel gauge and the fuel sender unit, which is this one right here. So this is the output socket. Black is ground, and we've got next to it the black and green right here. If we get this power supply and we're going to put it on, I don't know, 6 volts, let's pop it on 6 volts right here. If we connect the red wire over to where the 10 volts is supposed to come from, this green wire, and the black wire over to the fuel sender wire, we should get the meter to move. Yep. Oh, it's moving. One sec. You can see the voltage that we're sending to the fuel. We're going to turn it down. Let's turn it down to 0. Oh. And you should see it's slowly falling down over here. Oh, Tony, I think we should probably fill up soon. We're going to run out. Nah, Maggie, it's fine. We've only got another 30 miles. Oh, wait a sec. What's going on? Oh, no, we're running out of petrol. Oh, I hate to say I told you so, Tony. And then let's turn it up to the 10 volts, and it should go all the way up to max. Way back up to 10 volts. And then, yeah, we're filling up. The fuel is coming up nicely. There we go, we've got maximum fuel. Now let's wire the fuel sender into the mix. To do that, we're going to get the green and black wire, which is currently connected to the ground of the power supply. We're going to unplug that from the ground of the power supply. We're going to plug it into the input of the fuel sender. And then we're going to get the ground of the power supply, which is over here. And we're going to connect that to the chassis of the fuel sender, which is the ground of the car. The bobbin, or if you like Guinness, the widget, is at the bottom of the fuel tank, and as you can see, it's on 0. But if we push it up to the middle, you'll see it's going to start rising. Oh no, it's not, because the wire's fallen off. But if we bring the bobbin up in the fuel tank, you'll see that the gauge is going to start going up as well. It's quite delayed. It's quite a slow gauge, but you get the idea. Let's try and put it at half and see what happens. Yeah, it's going to go down. So it's going down a little bit. So there we go, that is how the fuel gauge works. I wonder if we can wire this up to anything else. So if you've watched any past videos on this YouTube channel, then yes, you've probably guessed right. I have plugged the fuel tank into my synthesizer. And in theory, if I bring it up here, right, one sec. Bit for you, bit for me. It's going up. Right, we're going up and down hills. This is obviously why the fuel gauge moves very slowly. It's to kind of filter out all of the bumps and the grinds and going up hills like this. Maybe this is inspiration for what it can do when the car is up and running. Anyway, let's get it put back in the car.
We're going to put a gasket on it and then plop it into the shinier fuel tank of the two. Then we need to put the fuel fitting kit, which is basically a bunch of plastic clips. They're slightly different shape on the valence side. There's 3 on the back, and then smaller ones on where the rear subframe mounts to. And then hopefully it all connects together, but I needed to slightly adjust a hole I made on the repair panel that we did in part 2. This bit right here, if you want to see it, there's a playlist below. Anyway, we can pop it back in. By the way, the old newer ones are all a little bit different. There's different types of them. There's radar ones, there's LiDAR ones, but it's amazing how many vehicles have this type of mechanism. It's so simple that it's just gonna always work. So yeah, anyway, this is me cutting the fuel line in. We're gonna use the mechanical fuel pump, but I just like mechanical fuel pump. The idea of it seems a little bit more appealing, so we're not gonna bother with an electric one around the back. But this amazingly needed soldering in, but it's a bit weird for a fuel tank, but there we go. So that's it, bolted in. Anyway, if you want to see more information on how it's going, because we're going to patina it next, I've already gone a good way on that, and you can watch it over on Patreon, which helps support all this stuff. Anyway, thanks a lot. I'm Sam, look, mum, no computer. That's the Big Bogey. Have a lovely time and toodly-doo.